I'm David Kiehl, and I am presently a curator at the Whitney Museum of American Art, where I've been for 25 years. Before that, I was at the Met for 20 years, so it's been a long time. I am the juror of the 67th Art of the Northeast, which is a remarkable run of these kind of juried shows. So bravo to Silvermine for keeping it going. Juring shows can be a little bit hair-raising at times. There's something to be said for having everyone bring everything in and looking at it, the real work, because as we all know, slides or images or whatever on internet or the old slide method is sort of a clue, but it never tells you what the real object feels like. And I'm one of those who likes to look at the real object. So doing the first round of this jury took a number of long hours because I went through everything 2 or 3 times. And so it's a real pleasure now to come in and see the things in real life. Walking in the door, and things were just sort of laid out on the wall, but that's the first work that I saw when I walked in the door, and I was so happy. So that's why I call it the Smile Award. And the second work that I noticed when I walked in was the big tree. It's drawing, just being good. And I think that's why I gave it the award that I did for, I believe, Best in Show. It's sort of a surprise. You would think that it was, when you saw the slide, that it could be something smaller, much smaller, let's say this big. And when you see it close up, it's just really a good-looking work. I was very happy to see this. These 2 watercolors, I know I went back and forth because initially I was trying to only pick one object by an artist, and it became clear that I was going to have a problem here. I originally liked the landscape, the horizontal landscape. There was something very beautiful with it. But I also loved what I call the falling rocket. And Jeff said, well, let's put 2 in. And where I really loved the almost the translucency of the horizontal landscape in the slide, the skyrocket, sorry, these are my personal names for nicknames for things, just glows. I kept coming back to this image over and over and over again. There's something about just the whole composition, how the artist worked. I just think it really is good. I just sort of love that face on that cat. It's sort of something you would like to have. Put in a favorite little place that surprises you every time you walk in. Maybe your house protector or whatever. I'm maybe not the best person to judge jewelry, but there was several interesting things. But there's a necklace here that I just really, I just thought it was really beautiful. And I love the fact that some of these, see, they were thinking maybe should I put a stone in there, or holding a stone in. I just thought this was just really, really nice. I would like to see this on someone. The artist submitted 2 or 3 different works done with this sort of looks like pins, but they're wires woven together. And this was the one. I went again back and forth, and I said, I like the way this one is sitting canted on a cant. It's not like a bowl. It's now becoming something more than a bowl. And I thought this was quite interesting. I was so happy to finally get to see it. I was intrigued by this work. It has a tightness to it. I like the way these work parts fall off. I'm intrigued by how the fabric or the mesh that is holding the pigment was, whatever the material was, I thought was interesting. I feel like it just happened to land here, like a leaf falling or a cloud. There was something really reminded me of a lot of different things. At Rancho de Taos one day, when I was out there, watching a rainstorm move down the San Cristo Mountains. And that is also the subject of one of my favorite images by black and white etching by Howard Cook. And this reminded me of that. I mean, so that sometimes you pick things for all kinds of reasons. I was really happy to see this work. I loved it from the very beginning when I went through all the images and I kept coming back to it. I love the feel that you want to go pick it up, hold it, feel it. It has that tactile sense to the surface. I just think it's super. I rather love these little sort of memories of almost like road trips, and especially the one with the purple going through, which is about a vista in Wyoming. But I love the fact that they're small. They're almost like little diaries. And you can imagine someone possibly sketching in the car. It's abstract, and yet you get the sense and feel of landscape in it. I really like this little portrait. I think it's rather beautiful. It was hard to tell how big it was going to be. There's just something very fresh about it, sort of casual. But I love the way that green line moves across the surface on the right, and that little dash of red right underneath the green line, and that sort of casualness of just holding a cup of coffee. Now, if it's a self-portrait, you know that he can't be painting because he's holding a cup of coffee, but he's working on himself, and I just think it's made me happy. Again, things that make me happy. I like this work a lot. From the very beginning, it was one of those I had marked as something that I was intrigued by. I love the sort of smudgies around the black lines. There's just something very much as if you're looking at something that's in 3 dimensions that's moving, and it's just rang many bells for me. Again, there were 2 or 3 different ones in this that were submitted, but I was intrigued by they sent the back picture of the backside to show this sort of scoring of the plywood or whatever this material is that allows it to be bent. I wanted to see it. I think the usual thing would have been to do sort of a steaming and bending like you do bentwood chairs to do something like this. And I think this is an intriguing solution. These 2 little works, I was very intrigued by them. The smallest of the 2 with this sort of dark blue with just the hits of light blue coming around the corners looked very interesting in the images as I was juroring. But what you did not get was this sort of resinous, shiny depth to them. And I was, again, very happy to see these. They rang some bells. It's like you're looking at like they took an agate or something and they sliced it through, or something, you're looking through a depth of water at night. It has a tremendous sort of surface, I think, to it. My initial, again, when I was going with one object, I was really like this a lot. I thought it was sort of interesting. There's an artist from the Northwest, from Oregon, Washington, who's Native American. And a lot of part of his sculpture is done with, he has glass blown into the shapes of Native American baskets. And I've been thinking a lot about him lately, and this sort of reminded me of that. And I love this sort of impracticality because you can't really put anything in here with water. It's sort of for dried things, but when Jeff and I were discussing my selection, he suggested also bringing in another one, and I picked this. And I love the way the 2 objects are talking to each other. By itself, this would have just sort of been a singular, but together there's this wonderful conversation of sort of closed and open and freedom, and yet they're to me, they really work great together. I'm a great fan of Cyanotype because a number of artists that I really like a lot have worked with Cyanotype, including Christian Markley. And there was this artist submitted a number of images. Again, I picked one. Cyanotype, if you think about it, is sort of a relative of blueprint, but it's slightly more chemical. And sometimes a little more fugitive, and then it does, you have to be careful with the light levels on it and all, so it doesn't fade out. Given the sense of this surface, I think it's a great surface with these sort of found letters and whatever else that are going on it, that possibly we asked the artist to bring in a second one. Because I think you begin to understand how interesting the process is with it. Very happy with seeing one that wasn't quite sure about, the one I called the party picture, but it does have a sense of joy and sort of springing around and playfulness. And the other thing you think about when you jury a show is the artists need to make sales. And you have to, as you look at it, you're not only looking for things that please you, but you're thinking about the audience and the encouragement that being in one of these shows gives to people. There are a number of things. I hope that the visitors here bring their checkbooks with them and write checks, because I think there are several things I know that I would like to take home.